What's going on, everybody? It is Adam at Proper Royals. Thank you for being here with me tonight. It's Tuesday night, 8 p.m. on the East Coast, 5 on the West, and as I just learned, it's 6 o'clock in Colorado Mountain Time out there. So I appreciate you being here tonight. It's just me this week. I'll be honest with you. I didn't find another host because it's been a crazy 10 days. And I'm going to make the episode tonight about these past 10 days and everything that I've had going on. And really, when I got thinking about it, I wanted to call this show The Reality of It All. What happens when things get real? I'm 41. When I was growing up, we had that show, MTV Real World, and it's kind of like that. And this episode is not about me complaining about how tough it is or anything like that. I am incredibly grateful for all that I've gotten myself into with these animals and the great people that I'm meeting and the experience that I'm having. But I've really, really packed it in this week. And when I say week, it's really 10 days. It's from October 9th until today. And I'm just going to tell you everything I got going on and share those experiences with you, but maybe you'll share some with me, and maybe I'll learn some operational efficiencies that I can improve upon. And stick around. The story has a killer ending. Like I say, this is not a complaint session. And I just want to share my work, basically, and tell you about what I got going on. So let me hit the music. Let's start this show, and we'll get right down to business. Thanks for being here. What's going on, everybody? Hey, bear with me. When I have a guest, it gives me a chance to look over here, which is where the screen is. And I see, I got to say hello to John. We were talking before I went on the air. That's Incoline. Phil, thank you for being here. EWAP 91 Scales. I'm not sure if we've met before. I really, really appreciate you being here. Jordan, good to have you back, man. A returning viewer, which means the world to me. There's 8 of you all on out of the gate, 9 of you all on out of the gate. I just got to tell you thank you. But if you see me looking everywhere or if I miss a comment, just bear with me. Like I say, when I have a guest on, it gives me a chance to peek other places and to type different things. So we're going to give it a shot. What's up, Kara? How are you? It's good to see you back, y'all. If you're into leopard geckos, check out KNC Geckos from Kara. And Kara is also the former owner. That sounds weird to say. She is the breeding owner of geckos who sold me 2 really, really beautiful ball pythons that I absolutely adore. And they've been great mamas for me as well. So, hey, thank you all very, very much. And it means a lot. Like I said, there's 10 of you already. And I didn't even have a guest to advertise tonight. Mark, what's going on? I'm going to talk about you a little bit this episode, Mark. Only as far as what I've had going on in the past few days. If you all missed the intro, tonight's about the reality of it. I've had about the craziest 10 days in this hobby, and I don't mean anything incredibly horrible. Nothing horrible. Matter of fact, just crazy busy. And it really struck me. There was a point this week where I was like, man, can I keep up this pace? What is going on? So let's get down to it. 10 days ago, the 9th, was Repticon here in Jacksonville, and I didn't vend at it, but I did go, and it was kind of cool. I took my father, who, let me tell you, is not a reptile dude whatsoever, but it was a great experience. My wife, my son, and my dad came, so it was the first time the 4 of us have hung out since I moved back to Jacksonville, Florida area, so that was super cool. And it blew my dad's mind. Like, he had no idea that people were into this, what people would pay. And it was immediately like, wait a minute, you have how many snakes? You're doing what? And all these people will pay for them? And so So it was a really, really good experience at Repticon. I got to see my good friend, good hobby friend, anyhow. Georgia MD was at the show, EMDE. He does Instagram and Facebook for sure, not much on YouTube, but man, his stuff is sweet. He's a former coolest ball python in the world winner, and he's been excellent to do business with. So George was there. Sunday, I got so jealous of selling snakes that I did a live stream Sunday night. And that would have been the 10th, I believe, is when we did that. And that actually was a cool experience. It was a new experiment for me. And really, I just wanted to give myself another shot in front of the camera, not out of ego, but out of getting experience. And I set up a whole studio in my snake room. So, but what ended up happening was that I sold 3 snakes that night on that live stream. And it was really, really great. And I sold all the spectrum. I sold some of my least expensive, and I sold some of my most expensive snakes. So that was incredibly cool. So right there on that Sunday, you got, John's drinking Moscato tonight. He's got the sweet wine. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you got some good spicy food to go with that sweet wine, man. Little sommelier insider. Go with spicy and hot, maybe some buffalo chicken wings with that Moscato or some nice Thai food, man. So sold some snakes on the live stream. So that was really busy. Then Tuesday night, I did last week's show with Bod's Exotic Reptiles, Jeremy, who's just cranking out some cool stuff. He just put out a new video this week on his super pastel kryptons that he hatched. And, you know, Jeremy, I got to keep some of the conversations private that we had because they were just person to person. But Jeremy is a cool dude, and I'm really, really glad I got to meet him. And that's one of the cool things that's starting to happen is that I'm really starting to connect with people. When people come on, I learn as much from them and hopefully more because I don't have a whole lot to teach often. I share like crazy what I do, and I do it transparently. But I really had a lot to learn from Jeremy, and he was really, really good to me. So since that time, sold another 2 snakes, and today I shipped out 3. So 2 went out to San Diego to Mark at 403 Fauna, and then another one went up to New York State, which hopefully their legal challenges don't get in my way. Guys, hang on. I like I say, I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I think my boys are going to come say goodnight. You off to bed, dude? You want to say goodnight to everybody? Come on. This is Charlie. He makes some quick appearances every now and again. He's got school in the morning, and he's got some reading time. So I'll see you in the morning. All right, dude? I love you. Cheers. Have a good night, okay? All right. Night, son. How cool is that, huh? All right. So we shipped out a couple snakes to San Diego and to New York today. And, you know, Phil, I agree with you completely, man. Hobby connections are where it's at. It's like any industry. It's like any hobby. You know, I worked in restaurants forever. I wouldn't say there's like a code, but if I talk to a manager or a chef and they find out what I've done in my career or any little part of it, it's immediately like, oh, come on back. Come talk to the men and the ladies back here. Come talk to the team. You know, and then suddenly there's a drink there. You know, there's the perks. There's the fun things. And you see some of that in the hobby at the shows and just the really nice consideration. I wouldn't say there's been a specific mentor or one person that's become a mentor to me, but collectively there's a lot of people that have really helped me out in a lot of little ways, and it's adding up to really big things. And honestly, you all being here, like I say, we had 10 of y'all watching out of the gate. Like how cool was that? So we're going to talk some about the connections, but I've been working on that. I got 15 hatchlings. I'm down to 12 now because I shipped out 3 today. But I actually have 3 that are giving me challenge to eat, and 2 of them were ready for an assist feed, unfortunately. It was the first time I did it, and it went very well. They ate, and I didn't have to do it multiple times. There wasn't a regurge or having to put them through that. And I found, too, with with truly the assist, there's a difference between an assist feeding and a force feeding. So my snakes were receptive to just having it put in their mouth and kind of clamped down. But I had to get through that, and that was on top of the regular, hatchling feedings, which it was hatchling. As a parent, I can't say that hatchlings are like having babies, but man, all they do is eat and poo, and they stink, and that means it's good things. It means all the belly stuff is working, but I clean them almost daily. And I went from, 18 snakes to 33 snakes. And then I picked up another thing this week is I picked up 3 new breeders as well. I haven't even made it through my list of what I've done in the 10 days. So it's been kind of kicking my butt. I've had to learn fast, and I haven't mastered it. I've had to learn how to operationally get through cleaning or spot checking or watering 33 snakes instead of 17 or 18, and then asking myself, man, if you're trying to evolve and level up to, my perfect setup right now, just with the racks that I have, would be, my perfect setup with the racks that I have right now would be 18 females and 6 males. So I would have, 18 breeders, 12 to 15, hopefully each year going, kind of rotate a year off and time off, and Mother Nature doing her thing. And then, those babies from that, yeah, it would be monstrous. Kara's laughing at me. Kara, how many breeding gecko, or how many geckos do, not breeding, how many geckos do you have in your house at a time? I'm hoping that my year-round breeding plan kind of works. I keep a real micro-specific climate-controlled area, which hopefully will allow me to spread out some of the hatchlings. Stephen, Courtney, what's going on? Everybody, check out Leviathan Snakes if you haven't seen them. Their Instagram is fantastic, super high quality photos all the time, and lots of cool stuff, like sunset cool stuff. So check them out. Kara, you got 153 geckos or 150 geckos. Okay, that you don't have to have the exact count if you're into the triple digits. Yeah, I remember in college I had 3 leopard geckos, and now I probably wasn't as caring in college as I should have been. But yeah, those things stunk. My room, I had 3 leopard geckos, I had an arowana, I had 2 corn snakes at any given time, and I hadn't gotten my ball pythons yet. So I had, a 50-gallon tank, 2 corn snakes, and 3 leopard geckos, and it stunk in there. Oh my gosh, it stunk. I had to move those along. That affected my social life. Let's just say that. So I've had to learn some operational efficiencies of how to get through the volume of snakes that I have. Now that'll come down because obviously the hatchlings, other than the holdbacks, will sell. But I've had to learn how to get through that. I'm working on it. I can't let it quite out yet because I'm still working on it. But I'll just tell you, through my career, just asking and being willing to be a part of something, if it's the right situation with the right person, some really great opportunities have come up in life. And I'm working on reaching out to some people that I really respect. I won't call them heroes kind of thing. That's a little bit of a weird word, but trying to work on some projects with some really specific people. So I'll talk more about that in another video sometime. And I swear I'll share it, but that took up some time. Then Charlie and I, those of y'all that were on, that was my son, Charlie. Charlie and I took a road trip down to Central Florida and visited Uriah at UHP Reptiles, who he's been breeding 5-6 years. Anyhow, I bought 2 breeders from him, and unknowingly I picked up a 3rd breeder with him. Surprise, surprise. You go looking for 2, you come home with 3. You guys know all about it. But we went down and saw Uriah. UHP_reptiles is Uriah on Instagram. Uriah's been breeding about 6 years, and he's up to, I don't know. He's got an ARS rack with 40 adults in it. But he's getting into the colubrids more. His son is getting into leopard geckos more, and he's also leveling up. So I bought a couple of his het clown female enchies, 2 sisters, matter of fact, that are both proven and have laid successfully. I bought them as adults. So I picked up 2 adult females. I'll have, that puts me at 9 females I'll be pairing this year or this season. So we're going to, we'll have a lot more going on with the breeders. So Uriah, that was a really big deal, but that was a couple 100 miles each way. So that was a big trip on Saturday. And then through all that, it was a busy week for the socials. It was good. I got my stats here. I did 3 shorts, which, let me just give you the stats and then I'll talk about each format. And, Stephen and Courtney might have some comments on that too. They're really marketing gurus and do a great job with their different kinds of content. I've learned a lot from Leviathan snakes. Stephen and Courtney ask, those are awesome pickups. What are your breeding plans for them? So my breeding plans immediately for them this year are to pair my two Enchi het clown females to my visual pastel clown. Now he's the sire of that banana clutch that has something else going on in it. So I think he might have blade, and I think the female that I got from Kara, the Coral Glow banana, so I use them interchangeably. It is the Coral Glow one. I think that one might have vanilla or fire complex in it, something or other. So, but this year, to those Enchi het clowns that I just picked up, I'm just going to breed that visual clown to them. So I could try and get some visual clowns and kind of level that along and move it along. But next year, then I'm going to breed the banana male holdback. It's that super just fire orange. It's got red pixelation in it. I'm about to do a holdback video here before long. I don't know what's going on in that. I don't think it's a new gene or anything that crazy, but it is cool. And I want to get that coloration in with Enchi, which should highlight the orange in it. And I want to get that to a visual clown. So that'll be the goals with those Enchi females next year. Oh, wow. So, all right, those of y'all that don't know, I bought a banana het ghost from Kara at KNC Geckos. This has been almost a year ago now. Matter of fact, I was still living in the Carolinas. I drove down to South Carolina, and I think we met in Columbia. And anyhow, fast forward, that snake that I bought from her had a great, beautiful clutch of babies. I paired it with a visual clown, so I got het clowns. But all that I know of that snake is that it had banana and het ghost. And all I knew of the visual clown that I paired it with was pastel clown. And there's, if this interests you, go check out my videos on this. It's really recent. It's a lot of my recent content. But mathematically, just visually what I see, there is at least one more codom in there. And I think 2. I think there's one from the father and from the mother. And the mother is Letty, who Kara just mentioned. Kara, if you have those pictures, that would be phenomenal. That'd be amazing. So that's the breeding plan for those Enchis. The third breeder that I picked up is actually the male, the sire that Uriah had paired with those 2 females at UHP Reptiles. And Uriah, in his hatchling rack, which you can also see on my videos, he got several visual clowns out of the het-to-het pairing, and he also got the super Enchi clown out of those pairings. So anyhow, it was a really great day. I really intended to drive down, pick up the snakes, say hey, and get up out of there. And what ended up happening was we hung out, we filmed the video, which was really cool. I never know how people will take that, and it went well. And then we got to be snake geeks, just being snake geeks. And we did wrap up and we headed out. And one of the things that I wanted to share is we all have, like, in management, we say we all have some superpower, and we got to find that superpower and how we benefit each other. So somebody could be a great saute cook, somebody could be an amazing grill cook, and another person could be an amazing pizza maker. All three different skills. If you get them in the right place, the same analogy: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, bass player, drummer, singer, blah, blah, blah. You get what I'm saying? But it was really cool because I learned a lot from Uriah and what he's been doing and how patience pays and how quickly you can level to different things. And as we were leaving, he says, hey, you mind if I pick your brain for a moment? And I'll keep it private because some of it was private stuff. But basically, he was asking about some of the financial side of it because he thought that I was more comfortable with it. Doesn't mean that I'm any sort of authority, but I'm a pretty good accountant just from running restaurant businesses. And so we got talking quite a long time in depth, and we've been communicating since. But I got to tell you, I got one of just the nicest, most caring emails from Uriah the other day. And it was just another great example of what the industry does, what Hobby Connections do, and how we can help each other. And it's why I love this format. Maybe there's something I can share with you, but there's 13 of you watching that I bet I can learn something from. So John says, I'm an amazing pizza maker. Those of y'all that don't know, getting dough to proof, to level up at the right temperature, getting it crispy and chewy on the inside, not having it watery because one person wants green peppers and another person wants pepperoni. I know this show ain't about pizza, but I could talk all about it. John, cheers to you. And it's hot and uncomfortable there too. So then I got home after spending that money, which was cool. And I realized that I've got to replenish supplies. I can't ship 12 hatchlings without shipping boxes. You don't need a special show to tell you that. And then I had to prep for this show. And right around Sunday afternoon or Monday, I said, I don't have a co-host. What am I going to do this show about? So then I got nervous and I wrote a lot of this show. Usually I just write a few bullet points, but actually I've got a real script. If you see me looking right here, it's right below the camera. I've got my notes there. So EWAP 91 Scale says, do you think you'll push more to recessive genes? I do. And I'll tell you from the start, I can't say it was insightful. It was just my path that spoke to me. I have always, when I buy, I always try and buy, if I can, a visual recessive. And if I can't afford that, I will always buy, with almost without exception, a het of a visual project that I already have going on. So I was fortunate enough to buy a visual male mature clown a little over a year ago. So these two hets play to that. It's a little bit of a longer path, but I find it really fulfilling, and there's amazing stops along the way. Like I had no idea just in this one, I only got 2 clutches this year, but one of the pairings has just been phenomenal to work through. Ended up having with quite a few holdbacks from that clutch, which I'm really excited about. So yeah, recessives, double recessives excite me. And I think it's a good business model too. I think the double hets, even though they're not visually exciting, I think they'll pay the bills for a long time, and keep a little bit of cash flow and overhead going as well. So, hey, I want to say thank you all. We're at 18 concurrent viewers, and I think that's the personal best. I was going to say my personal best. It's you all doing it. That's the personal best on the show. So thank you very much. What's going on, Lou Balls? It's good to see you here. I appreciate you stopping by. Check out Lou Balls' channel. Lou Balls, if you want to drop your link, anybody's welcome to drop their link to their socials in the comments as well. So we talked a lot about working relationships. And again, those of y'all just joining, the theme of today's show is just kind of what the reality is of working through this, trying to go from hobby to business, making contacts. And when I say business, I don't mean quit my job. That'd be great. I don't mean quit my job, but I do mean one of my income streams. So I play music professionally. I do have my professional restaurant job, ball pythons, rental property. I would love to eventually get to a point where the restaurant job I step back from or focus more on project-based consulting rather than a everyday kind of thing. Although I'm grateful for what I'm doing, my life is very, very good right now, and I'm thankful for that. So, but my goal from a business standpoint is creating a steady revenue stream. And spoiler alert, we'll get there. We're halfway through, the 1 hour show. We'll probably go to overtime. But with this 10-day stretch, I'll pay this month's mortgage with snake money. How cool is that? And I don't say that bragging. I say that thankfully. But I don't need to be a millionaire from snakes. I'll be glad to be. That's fine. If we could do it. But imagine I'm paying my home mortgage from snakes. And yeah, it was a busy 10 days. On the other hand, I got time to sit here and talk to you all about it and share and grow and learn. So the point that really is where all of this is going. So I was working on relationships, and I don't mean just commenting and liking. I put in calls this week or in that 10-day stretch to George MD, Jeremy Bod, Kai at Lucas Landon Royals, who has been phenomenal to me. I don't know if he's watching tonight or not. Uriah at UHP, Galactic Reptile, who I'm doing the breeding collaboration with here in town, and Captive Bred Creations. If you all haven't seen, this isn't even a plug for my own video. Go watch it if you want. Captive Bred Creations, go check them out. They produced the first sunset pied. They produced the first sunset leopard pied, and they blew my freaking mind because they produced a super leopard sunset pied, and this ain't like I think it could be super, maybe. They blew it out of the water. That is clearly a codom. That clearly has a super form. It might only be the way it interacts with sunsets, but that's all what they did. And I reached out to them because I did the video on the super leopard sunset in this month's coolest ball python in the world episode. And those are cool dudes. They worked with me. They sent me a batch of media to use for the video. They're busy. We didn't hang out a whole lot, but man, I just asked and they were happy to hook it up, and they didn't blow me off or anything. Blue balls. Thank you very much. Sorry, there's the one I was going for. How's the new house? The new house is good. We're getting there. I guess you've been watching my videos for a little while now. About 4 months I moved from North Carolina back to Florida, and I built my snake room in the garage, and now I'm sitting in the studio area of the garage. It sounds like I have this massive mansion of a garage. I don't. It's a 2-car garage. The snake room is like 12 by 9, and this little studio is 4 by 6 with a desk. So this is my office, my studio, and the snake room is right there, and my little music microphone area is right there for rehearsals. So the house is good. Life is good. I am a thankful man. I can't complain one bit. Thank you very much for asking. So I'm finding the most overwhelming thing, and it goes in like waves. The most overwhelming thing is honestly brand building. I get like anxiety when I see the quality of other snakes out there on Instagram. I joke I should have never discovered Instagram. It is incredible what people are doing out there, and you start to get this like imposter syndrome. You start going, man, I'm producing bananas and normal hets and a clutch of orange dreams. And I have to remind myself that there's people at every level, and there's tons of customers and audience out there, just that there's 15 of you all sustainably watching this episode where I don't even have a co-host to hook you with, is incredible, and it is reaffirming to me. So I like to say, I go through these times of anxiety of like, man, what am I putting all this work in for? And then I have these valleys where, you know, it should be the peak is where the fulfillment is, not the valley away from the anxiety. But I have peaks of anxiety and peaks of fulfillment. And I get these peaks of fulfillment when I have weeks like I did selling those snakes. And then, you know, like I say, I mark off these notches of, great, I got to pay the mortgage this week. Wow, here's somebody that's watched 4 months of video. Wow, there's another person that I bought snakes from, and we're able to stay in touch professionally and maintain these relationships. Or there's Mark, who really brought a lot of validation to my personal projects. It was in the form of money, but money was the vehicle to show trust in him buying live animals from me that he intends to breed one day and continue with his own journey. So I go through this. This anxiety and these ups and downs. Yeah, Stephen Courtney, thanks very much for the kind words. I regret we didn't get to meet each other in the Carolinas either, because you all, by my math, you all were less than two hours away from me. But hey, 26 to 95 ain't that far, and 95 to 26 ain't that far either. So we'll make it happen. But then I go through these mindsets of, you know, how am I ever going to compete with the big guys, you know? And the big guys have been cool to me. I got no beef with the big guys. They're who I learned from, you know, and some of them even have really, really helped me along the way. So to each of your points, you know, Kara and Stephen and Courtney, we're all on our own journey. We all got to start somewhere, and you got to hit it hard and give it what you got, because if you don't, well, yeah, then of course you're not going to compete. The other thing I remind myself of is I want to go fast enough, but I also don't want to go too fast. What in the world am I going to do if suddenly I wake up and I've gone and spent 20 grand and I got 72 snakes in there, and suddenly like it gets in the way of my work or it gets in the way of my family because I haven't figured out how to care for that number of snakes. I haven't figured out how to be efficient at caring for them. And suddenly I'm not caring for the snakes and I'm not doing my job. I can't be unemployed and have dead snakes. That's not going to cut it. I have no dead snakes. This is just me speaking out loud. But so I have to remind myself that growing at a sustainable pace is important too. The worst thing I could do would be to outgrow myself right now. And frankly, from a quarantine standpoint, I got snakes everywhere. I picked up a snake at the Repticon. I picked up those 3 from George Endy, and trying not to have snakes in the living room or the dining room where we eat dinner. There's one in there. Like I said, I had to find quarantine spaces for them. They're all good problems to have, but God forbid I go on some spree and I haven't thought about where I'm going to set up, you know, 10 quarantine snakes. So, you know, the other side of that is building your brand at your right pace. And that's what I'm challenging myself to do. There was somebody on here before, and this is going to sound negative, so I'm not going to say their name, but I don't mean it negative. I mean it incredibly curiously. They said, and it was in the comments, I don't even know, I think I posted it on the screen on the first or second episode. They said they spent, and they're in the process of it, they have spent $100,000 on their collection before they have gotten their first clutch. So I take a couple things away from that. I take that that's scary as hell. I take that this person, if they have 100 grand, and I will not say 100 grand to blow. I think that they must be very, very savvy if they have 100 grand to put in a business that will not produce for them for a year or 2 or 3. My biggest fear, and I'll assume that they're perfectly rational and perfectly responsible with their money. My biggest concern for that would be, how big is that collection, and how do you know what you're doing with that volume already out of the gate? And I would love to have that conversation, not in a negative way, in a, who's your mentor, what excitement, what guts, what gave you the guts to go do this? And man, anyhow, if I ever see them again, and I do remember their name, and maybe I'll reach out to them on Instagram. On the other hand, I might hear their story and go, that is absolutely bonkers. And I would find a reasonable way to say it, although it wouldn't matter. They're committed. My dad thinks I'm bonkers, and Phil, you have a good point. If they dropped $100,000 on sunsets, monsoons, you're right. That could be that them saying they're going to stay ahead of the curve. They're buying the 5-10 years into the future rather than the rest of us trying to catch up and hope those prices come down. So that's where it's interesting to me. And I've had this discussion privately with actually some people in the audience. Again, I won't call them out either. And we each have different views on business models. So what we have to remember too is we all have different scenarios that we're in life. I've positioned myself now through saving and being pretty frugal for most of my life, but my cost of living is tiny compared to most people my age, because I've paid down mortgages and because I've generated some other revenue streams. So what $100,000 does for one person might make somebody else a relative millionaire, So you never really know exactly all the facts either. And again, everything's relative. I spend a whole lot on guitars, and some people think I'm nuts on that, which I could be. That's fine. And hey, Michaela, I have not said hello to you tonight. I apologize for that. One person who bought a snake, or committed to buying a snake, so not in the 5 snakes I sold this week, but coming up this weekend, Michaela and I are getting together, and she's coming to pick up a snake this week. She's regional area, and I can't wait to meet her. We've met on through social media before, but she picked up a snake from me too. So thanks very much. It's good to see you, Michaela. So this evolving your workflow efficiency as you scale up is like equal parts stress and equal parts drive. So like, I want to learn it, and I want more and more and more. And then I get to this point where I'm just about exhausted, and I hit the brakes, and I wait till I hit that plateau, and then I'll take another one, So I find that healthy. I know myself well enough that I almost have to have a certain amount of stress or pressure. And I think that's a side effect from the restaurant business. I'm so driven by this ticket time. Oh man, Phil, you're talking guitars now, huh? I didn't know. I have this like guilty pleasure dream of starting like a secret channel of just like high-end guitars and ball pythons. There'd be like 9 subscribers, but man, we'd have a good time. We would just geek out, Yeah, Phil, you're right. At least it's not a piano is exactly right. And hey, John brings up a really good point. I like Ozzy a whole lot. His financial information, I agree and concur with probably 80 to 90%. I will say the part that I disagree with, and that's not, I have no basis to disagree with anything Ozzy Boyd says. Let's be very, very clear on that. One detail that I found didn't fit my needs was, I don't think he was clear about when he was suggesting going through a full business setup without explaining when you would be ready for that, in my opinion. I don't think until somebody understands the difference between an LLC, a sole proprietorship, or a hobby business on their taxes, and the multitude of other options that it could be. In some places, this could fall under Schedule F agricultural type of deal. You got to talk to your CPA, but I don't think that the typical breeder / seller / small business needs to be an LLC, separate lines of credit, separate bank accounts. I think you need a solid income expense statement and a great CPA that can guide you through it and guide you through your own specific needs. And that's all I'll say on that. Because like I say, I have no business whatsoever disagreeing with Ozzy. He clearly is the model to follow, and he's great that he shares it. Man, he shares so much, and it's so good. I loved his episode when he was talking about people buying jewelry or dumb things with their snake money, and he said you should be maxing out your Roth IRAs. You should be maxing out paying off your mortgages if you have a mortgage, and you should be saving for your children's college with snakes. When you max those things out, then go buy your rings and all of your jewels and gems and all of that. I'm nowhere near that, but I am dreaming of it, and it is something that I think about, and I respect him very, very, very much for that, because those are things that free you from having to have a job, from having to be bound by something that you don't want to be. So I think that's very, very cool. Phil, let me read this comment here. I run finger snakes in my masonry company through the same Schedule C. Right. So make sure you're paying your taxes on the money earned. Phil, I think that's a killer point. And I come from two industries where people don't understand the value of making sure that you're paying your taxes on your money earned. For anybody watching, listen, just I don't claim to be an expert on much, but I do claim to I have some insight. My insight is that I come from restaurants and I come from a music background. Live musicians live on cash tips. A lot of times, if you get a great crowd, you don't care what the venue pays you. You will play just to get in front of a packed house. If you don't claim that money, which there's no accountability for not claiming it, frankly, you could get away with not claiming it. But here's your accountability in life. When it comes to trying to get a car on credit, getting credit card, oh, you make enough money to be a musician and not have a job, but you can't get a car to make it to a gig. You can't rent a house without your girlfriend's credit and social security number. You gotta be able to show what you're making. And to Phil's point, you got to not go to jail for tax evasion. Again, get a good CPA. You'll be amazed how much they could save you, and they'll be amazed that they pay for themselves every stinking time. I will not do my own taxes any longer. Restaurants, same thing. Bartenders, servers. Now things are less and less cash, but they still live and die on cash. But let me tell you, 20 years ago when I was slinging drinks in Gainesville, Florida, before the Gator games, making incredible amounts of cash, I didn't report that, and it didn't dawn on me because I thought I was filthy rich. When I moved back to Jacksonville after college, I couldn't get a place to live. Here I am, graduated college, early 20s, a salaried manager with a really established restaurant company, and I can't get a place to live because I got no credit. It delayed me buying a house for many years. So get your income history going. And hey, and I want to leave politics out of this. So I'm not saying this should or shouldn't have happened, but the people that claimed their income and paid taxes on their income and their money earned when the pandemic hit could get support money, whatever word we want to call it, whether it's bailout, what was the PPP loans that got forgiven. If you showed that you were missing income because of the pandemic, because there were no more gigs to play, turns out people were buying snakes like crazy, but because maybe you had a storefront and, or you couldn't vend at Repticons or trade shows anymore, you could have gotten that payroll support money for yourself had you claimed that information. So, Phil, thank you for bringing that up. I think it is I think it's imperative. You got to do it. You can disagree with tax law. You can disagree with the politics of it. Go to the ballot box and use your vote, use your power that we all have as Americans on that. In the meantime, don't jeopardize your income and your livelihood because you don't want to pay taxes on things is my thought. So somebody, I forget what it was. I was prepping for this, but I've heard this before in my life. This isn't something new that I just cooked up this week. When I was working I work remotely for restaurants now, so it's more of an oversight position than a daily ops position. But when I was doing daily ops and I was working 60, 70 hours a week, I would come home and I would work on my snakes or play music, and people would go, "How do you have time for that?" And I was doing the show prep and I ran it by some friends, and somebody was like, "How do you have time for all that crap?" So I love this equation, and here's food for thought. You find the time for it is my argument, but let's break this down. There's 168, and this is not meant to be a lecture. This is an aha fun moment that you can share with whoever you want. There's 168 hours in a week, okay? 24 hours times 7 days. If you're like me, you don't like your sleep messed with. I get 8 hours of sleep every night. I don't sacrifice my sleep. 11 p.m., 7 a.m. That is my routine, and I might vary it on the weekends, but I always get my 8 hours. So that's 56 hours. Let's say you work a 40-hour-a-week job and you commute an hour each way. So there's 50 hours. Say you work 50 hours, and I know some of you work more, and I know some of you work less. I've been on both sides of it. So between sleep and work, there's 106 hours. You got 62 hours a week. That's a full-time job and half-time more to do whatever you want with. And I know it's not that simple. We got to run errands. We got to be dads and moms, and we got to be husbands and wives. But 62 hours, think how much I'll think about myself. Think how much I would complain about working 62 hours. It would feel like forever. You got that much time to figure out where you're going to do stuff. Now, you don't have to put 62 hours into snakes, but you can learn, you can reach out, you can relax, you can find balance. And it's not easy. I don't say it because I've figured it out, but you can. We can work at figuring it out. That's life's great journey. And there's different stages in life. There's the wealth building stages. There's the hobby enjoyment. There's the time where you enjoy the life that you've built. And hopefully we all get to live a dream where we have a fruitful retirement, and whether that's a total retirement from stopping working or choosing what we're going to do to work and having the freedom to do that is important to me. So figure out what you're going to do with your number 62 hours each week. Back to some of the money and the investing stuff. UOP 91, he says, first 2 years you should invest back into your genetics and setups. Then after that, build the business. I agree philosophically with that, and almost out of necessity. So I will share. I'm not going to share my P&L statements, but I will share my raw numbers. So one thing I did discover this week, and I actually missed my bullet point here, I came to the disappointing realization that I'm not going to be profitable this year. And I really had wanted to set the goal for myself to be profitable. And part of it was that I didn't hit visual recessives that I thought that I would. Make your plans. Life's going to happen when you're making plans, right? That's I think it's a John Lennon quote, but it is reality. So I'll tell you, from doing just what you're talking about, from the comment on the screen there, I showed a loss, and I did this on my taxes, and I did it on the up and up. And I showed a loss of $6,266 in 2020. That was buying my initial collection, my facility, my racks that I would build, all the food, all the rodents, but primarily that year it was snakes. I think I spent $4,000 on snakes in 2020 in the pandemic, and I spent another $2,000 on equipment. This year I'm currently 4,100 in the red, so I'm a little over 10,000 cumulative at a loss. Now I am projecting this year to only be down around 2,000 this year, so that'll be a cumulative 8,000 that I'm behind. But from investing in the genetics, doing pickups with a smart plan, we talked earlier about what I'm going to do with these girls that I picked up this weekend. It's not like, I'll just buy them and see what's going to happen. They got to have a plan. There's got to be a goal with it. Now, it doesn't mean new possibilities won't arise. For example, at Repticon, I actually picked up a Mystic Potion. I had no plans for that. First, it made my wife happy, so that cures all the problems. But secondly, aha moment, I have a Super Mojave male. A Super Mojave male to a Mystic Potion female is going to give me 100% Mystic Potions and blue-eyed leucistic Super Mojaves. I could pay the bills with those, and those are cool. Not to mention, I want to work those into some recessives. I want to see what's up with the Mystic Potions and that kind of thing. But I'm getting off track here. So to EWAT91's point, who says first 2 years, you should invest back into your genetics and setups. Then after that, build the business. So my first 2 years, let's just split the difference and say I'm going to be in the red $9,000 after 2 years. 2022, I'm projecting to be positive net in the year for the year. I'm projecting to be positive somewhere between 15 and 20,000 based on my experience that I've gained now, what I think I could sell, what I'm projecting to have for number of hatchlings, average sale price of hatchling, which I do monitor that closely, and then project planning and the odds that you might win some, you might lose some, you might hit some jackpots, you might hit some heartbreakers, but the odds are the odds, and over a big enough sample size, you really can rely on them. So to your point, the first 2 years investing in the business and then, investing in the genetics and your setup, and then that third year hitting the business, that's the pace I'm going to be on. And here's the interesting thing. We talked about the guy that spent $100,000. I bet he's on that similar trajectory for the third year. I bet his deficits are, I know his deficits are higher if he spent $100,000. His deficits are higher now, but to Phil's point earlier, he should have both the quality and the quantity of snakes to pull out of that in the third year, hopefully. I wish him well. I think it's just making it to the third year and making it through the third year is always kind of that litmus test. So great point for bringing that up. I had to think about if I really, really agreed with you, but I do. I'm not afraid of. I would not have been afraid of taking profits this year if I could have. But I agree with you. That's going to be the trajectory. Phil says a great CPA can do all that for you and more. As a business owner, you need to know your numbers. You have got to. I agree with you, Phil. I told the managers that I used to groom over the past 20 years. So food and beverage director was my title for the past 10 years. And I oversaw the managers that would operate a variety of different outlets. Handshakes, smiles, great food, great experiences. Yeah, that's all part of it. If you don't know what you're bringing in, what's going out the door, and what's left over at the end, i.e. profits, and where every penny goes and how that works, you can't do it. And that doesn't matter if it's ball pythons or restaurants. And you have to know what your operating costs are. You have to know what your money coming in and your money coming out is. Man, I have some personal info, not only my personal info, which I actually wouldn't really care sharing. It's not like I'm blowing away anybody's vision of who or what I am. Maybe I'd be ruining it. I would share my books publicly, except, like I say, I've got some private information as far as who I bought what from and what price they gave me and that sort of thing. So I better not show those. I was going to do a screen share of my books. However, I am not a CPA. I recommend everybody getting one of their own. But if you Google a basic profit and loss statement or basic P&L statement or basic small business statement, there are great spreadsheets out there that are one page, succinct. Income, which is top line revenue, that's gross. Then your expenses, and you should have inventory. If your CPA is not asking you about inventory, you should have that as well. Oh, that's you, Ray. I didn't know that. Ray and I were talking this week too. Okay, you updated your handle there. So, Ray, good to see you. Thanks for joining tonight. We got to talk a little bit more offline, huh? So look, yeah, your gross income is your revenue. Then you have your expenses, and you need a CPA to help you with inventory. Inventory is a little bit more complicated, but you need to be talking about that. And you subtract all of your expenses from all of your income, and what's left over is profit. And if it's a negative, it's a loss. And you've got to keep that going, and you need to have a good accountant to do that. I can't really, in good faith, take it much farther than that because every person's situation is different, and I don't claim to be an expert on tax law. However, it is worth it. It is worth it. If you have any kind of income or expenses other than a single person with no spouse or child, then maybe not. Otherwise, get a CPA, man. Yeah, buddy. Phil got a Enchi Grail this year. Grail Lavender Clown. Enchi? Whew. Yeah, man. Mine's down the road. It's coming. Yeah, congratulations is right. Same from Mark noting that. My goodness. Laughing Boy 82, we just had our first clutch ever hatch out. Not the greatest clutch, but we have one normal, two pastel, one super pastel, and one super blast. So you had pinstripe in there too. Very cool. Look, I don't know, Laughing Boy, how long you've been watching tonight. Again, I go through these peaks and valleys of anxiety and fulfillment, man. And we're all on our own journey, and that is super cool that you got a clutch. And I only see one normal. That's killer as well. Jay, how are you, man? It's good to see you. I appreciate you being here so much. I gotta tell everybody, Jay and I, Jairus and I, we spend probably an hour a week just kicking around business and entrepreneurial ideas to each other. Sorry, there's a siren in the background. I was making sure there wasn't anybody yelling. Find somebody that you could talk openly to, that you trust enough to share real legit numbers. Jay is one of the few people that probably knows my finances in and out. And we just talk and dream, and we hit on these things every now and again. He doesn't have snakes, and I don't own a restaurant, but we bounce ideas off each other constantly. I love it. Jay, good to see you, man. Welcome back to the mainland, brother. Kara says, super off topic, but what is your opinion on spiders? Speaking of things getting real and the reality of it all, let's talk about them. First and foremost, I am not in judgment of anybody who wants to breed spiders. Spiders, for me, they don't excite me. I don't feel comfortable about breeding them, but really, the combos don't do much for me. Now that's like saying somebody saying rock and roll doesn't do much for them, and me going, what are you talking about? Chuck Berry is a god. And another person going, what do you mean? Who's Chuck Berry? They're entitled to that opinion. They don't do a whole lot for me. So that really kind of makes it easy for me. I will say, even if I loved them, I probably wouldn't breed them, both from my personal conflict with it, but also from a business standpoint. At some point, if if I'm going to get into something that isn't hugely popular for any reason, forget spider, for any reason, I need to be passionately in love with it, because the money ain't going to be fulfilling. So, anytime that you're cutting out X percentage of the market before you even start, I probably am going to steer clear of that. That probably isn't for me. So I know it sounds like I'm hedging it. I guess the way to say it is no, I'm not into spiders. They're not for me. But I think there's more nuance to it as well. John says, I have a killer spinner that I love, but she's certainly more silly, nothing crazy, no head wobble. Okay, that's cool. But she is a little different. Sorry, there's sirens out there. I'm not sure what's going on out there. So that really kind of fills my show. If you guys want to chat, feel free. I see what's really cool is I see people having their own side conversations, and I don't think on the replay it's going to show them. Ray, it was a double het to a double het pair. And, this is where you hit the Grail Clown. Wow, you did that on double het to double het. Help me out. What's the odds on that? 1 to 16? Yeah, well, I got to take long shot odds. 6 eggs, 5 visuals. Wow. You got 5 visuals on a het to het. Nice job, Phil. Yeah, I bet your season was made after that season, and then a season in 3 years when they're all grown up. Good for you. 1 in 64, hell of a lot more than 1 in 68. Okay. Yeah, that is super cool. I was watching, one thing to bear in mind on odds is those odds are per egg. Per egg does translate loosely to per clutch, but it is not the same thing. So 1 egg does not affect the odds of the next egg is what we have to remember. Anyhow, that's math for another day. So the two are not related. The sirens were not related to my wife coming home, but my wife is home, and I think I've packed in the content that I want to tonight, and I'm feeling really good about the show. I got to tell y'all, the sustained viewers, the interaction, it felt really good. Leave me comments. Let me know. Email me at properroyals@gmail.com if I can think up topics. Should I do more solo? It's more work and it's harder, but I got to tell you, tonight was a blast. I had a really, really good time. If there's anything you think I can help you with or you can help me with, drop me an email, properroyals@gmail.com. And I am on, just to do the usual plugs, I am on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I am on TikTok, but I haven't really latched on to TikTok just yet. So all of those are Proper Royals. I see, Ray says definitely more solo, which is, thank you. That's a huge compliment. It's a lot of work. I don't know if I'm confident in your compliment yet. Hey, everybody, I got to tell you, too, go check out 403 Fauna, if you would, on Instagram and here on YouTube. The guy's name is Mark. Mark's very cool, and yes, he's a customer, so I am biased. Let me fully admit that. Mark's a good dude and really, really insightful. Talk about building a good collection and investing in the first 2 years. And somebody who makes me feel like maybe I'm behind and missing out. Woo, his pickups are phenomenal. So I really enjoyed getting to know Mark and working with him. And soon, I'm going to do a plug. Soon, as in tomorrow, Mark will be opening a shipment of snakes from me. I don't know when the video will post. I'm sure it's not going to be, I don't know, hell, maybe it's live. I don't think so. I'm sure it won't be tomorrow. Hey, Jay, I see you out there, brother. Yeah, we got our phone call tomorrow, man. I'll be on it. Anyhow, I'm rambling now, but check out Mark's YouTube page. There'll be a video of him opening his purchase of snakes from me. I won't spoil what he bought, but Mark, thank you very, very much for the purchase. Going to keep the lights on and pay for those Enchi Het Clowns, baby. That's what I appreciate so much. On that note, when I'm rambling, it's time for me to go. All right, Leviathan snakes. Here's what we're going to do. And this is going to be my project for this week. Here's the hot topic we're all going to discuss this week. if you were going to start over from scratch and had a $10,000 budget, how would you use it? That's what we're starting with next week, Tuesday night, 8 p.m. That will be October 26th. I thank you all immensely for joining me tonight. It means the world. I'm humbled. We hit 18 concurrent viewers. Thank you. See you next time.